Yes, the COVID-19 restrictions have been tightened, but summer is still on. If we practice social distancing, wear our mask, practice proper hygiene, and abide by the nightly curfew orders and public gathering limitations, we can still have a safe and worthwhile summer break. So, in today's show, we highlight a few venues and programs that can enable you and yours to do just that. Stay with us, we have lots in store.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
I'm saying to every single Jamaican, you will decide how this pandemic ends. If you wear your mask, if you maintain the physical distance, and if you decide to take the vaccines when it is your time, the pandemic will end. But if in frustration or just ignorance, we do not take responsibility, then the pandemic could end badly, including the loss of more lives.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Friday, August 13, 2021. Children and adolescents 12 years and older will be prioritized for the Pfizer vaccine when government receives its first batch of 200,000 doses next week. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says there must, however, be parental consent.
The prioritization of children is for us critical at this juncture. And in this context, there is going to be some prioritization and adjustment towards a younger population using that particular brand. And that's because the research has been done, the clinical assessment has been done, and as you know, we go by what the science suggests or proves.
In total, Jamaica is expecting 608,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine. The country is also purchasing 1.9 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson brand, which requires only one shot. A shipment of 118,000 doses will arrive next week as well, with 3 other shipments expected over the next few weeks. Minister Tufton says that while this single-dose vaccine will be available across the country, street people and certain other vulnerable individuals will be prioritized. In the meantime, regional health authorities will activate 23 vaccination blitz sites across 11 parishes this weekend. Members of the public are invited to make appointments for vaccination, but walk-ins will also be welcomed.
And we urge persons to go out and get vaccinated. If you can't get an appointment online or through the phone lines, go to the site. Now, we prefer the appointment, but don't let a lack of appointment stop you. We want everyone to come out, and our team on the ground is making the sacrifice and are able, willing, and will be there to serve you all.
When going to the vaccination site, persons will need to take their TRN and a government-issued ID or letter from a justice of the peace. Those going for their second dose should also bring their vaccination card. The Ministry of Health is on a drive to administer 700,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines by the end of September and have 65% of the population covered by March 31, 2022. So far, just over 391,000 Jamaicans have either been partially or fully inoculated. In the last 24 hours, Jamaica has confirmed 544 new cases of COVID-19 infections and 8 deaths, while hospitals island-wide remain over capacity, reinforcing the need for redoubled efforts at infection prevention and control, as well as increased vaccinations. A 15% fare increase for public passenger buses and taxis takes effect next Monday, August 16. This, however, does not apply to the JUTC or the Montego Bay Metro. And the rate for the elderly, disabled, and children will remain at 50% of the adult fare. The Transport Authority announced the fare adjustment in a press release yesterday. According to the release, the decision follows several appeals for an increase, as well as Cabinet's review of the requests and the economic impact the pandemic has had on the rate of inflation. The Transport Authority says based on consultations with the Ministry of Finance, this increase will affect national inflation by approximately 1%. The authority says it will be monitoring the public passenger space to ensure operators do not apply any additional charges. The upgrading of the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF's automated palm and fingerprint identification system is slated to come on stream in September. Automated palm and fingerprint identification systems are primarily used by law enforcement agencies in criminal investigations. The JCF first put the forensic tool into operation in October 2006. Senior Director of the Ministry of National Security's Major Technology Transformation Branch, Arvel Grant, says the upgrade will facilitate a more efficient process of generating criminal records. The Criminal Records Office will also use the system to process requests for police records for job prospects or travel purposes. 786 job seekers received employment last year through government's Electronic Labor Exchange, ELE. The details are outlined in the Planning Institute of Jamaica's PIOJ's 2020 Economic and Social Survey. The Electronic Labor Exchange is the core of the Labor Market Information System, LMIS, which provides online and offline services to job seekers and employers at no cost to them. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security says increased promotion of the LMIS web and mobile app, as well as a shift from in-person to virtual platforms for the delivery of services, also resulted in the registration of 897 job seekers. The LMIS team targeted job seekers who were more likely to have experienced job loss due to the pandemic. The team also engaged in several partnerships with stakeholders to promote the LMIS and improve accessibility. And finally, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation is reminding interested persons that the deadline for government's low-cost housing design competition is August 31, 2021. The competition encourages Jamaicans to submit creative, original, resilient, and low-cost housing designs. It is open to all nationals, regardless of their country of residence, and is targeting engineers, architects, builders, and students from the built environment. Application submissions may be done individually or in teams of a maximum of 5 persons via the Ministry's website, megjc.gov.jm. Design submissions will be accepted by the Ministry in 4 categories: 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, as well as multifamily units. The winning design in each category will serve as a model for the nation's social housing program, with a $1 million prize for first place, $500,000 for second place, and $250,000 for third place. The competition is one of the many ways government is responding to the high demand for housing while optimizing limited financial resources to get the best value at the least cost. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Our children have been out of school for a year and a half. The impact on their education is significant and it will be long-lasting. As a responsible government, we cannot place the education of your children, our children, at risk. There is a ray of hope, and that hope comes in the form of the vaccine.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
First up in our program are 3 of the hidden treasures in the parish of St. James that will be worth your while. Watch this.
Hey there! Guess what? You've joined me at the right time. I'm actually now on my way to explore some of the most historical and culturally rich sites in the parish of St. James. And no, I'm not talking about the popular Rosa Great House, Sam Sharp Square, or Doctor's Cave Beach. We are going to be exploring some of the hidden treasures. So tucked away in the corner of Creek Street and Dome Street in downtown Montego Bay is the Creek Dome Monument. Let's check it out. The Creek Dome was built in 1837 above a stream that gave the households of Montego Bay their best source of drinking water at the time. I hear that this actually used to be the home of the keeper of the dome, and that was someone who lived on the upper floor and took payment from those who came for water.
Remember, every time you take a drink of water, before everybody add this, we Montegonians add this.
I told you this tour would be dropping some history, right? After leaving the busy streets of downtown Montego Bay, we headed to the cool hills of Fairfield, where the 300-year-old Belfield Great House and Gardens is found.
Welcome to Belfield, one of the oldest sugar plantations in Jamaica. Okay, so this is an old great house in Jamaica, one of the oldest great house that was owned by 11th generation, still operate under the same family. It was built in 1735. These are pictures of the car Jarrett's. We're gonna enter one of the busiest rooms on the entire house, the dining area. Meals are always elaborate. As you can see the settings, it was elaborate. In the center of this table, you would have an old hog just for decoration. After eating all these, they would get sick sometimes and they blame it on the slave. Poor slave, it was from this fork. It was made from pewter and lead, so it's poisonous. Now we are entering to the master bedroom. As you notice, this dress is over 200 years old, and if you take it up, it can tear apart. As I exit the room, as you notice, the lush green grass that a lot of slaves were working on the sugar plantation, bending their backs and cutting canes. The sugar master would be using this to signal them. Today, this part of the property is used for weddings and private functions. It's also over 600 people. Oh, before I forgot, Sandria, I'm gonna tell you about our old Chattanooga. That is a miniature version of an old sugar mill. It is operated by our donkey, Wilhelmina.
Here you go, Sandra.
Thank you so much, Godfrey.
You're welcome. Taste it and enjoy.
Wow. And there you have it. If you're looking for a truly sweet and authentic Jamaican experience, you know where to stop. Thanks, Willie. So listen, after such a filling experience at Belfield Great House, we had to make one more stop in the hills of Anchovy. Trust me, the road may be rocky, but it will be worth it.
Welcome to Rockland, and you're going to feed some hummingbirds. You hold the bottle.
How do you hold the bottle?
This, like this. And then you put your finger sideways.
Sideways, okay.
And then the hummingbirds come and sit on your finger.
That was quick.
Your finger too goes a little bit wider, 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 up.
And just when you think you have seen it all, visitors are able to savor this breathtaking view of Montego Bay from this cozy outdoor patio area, or enjoy a walk through the garden with our guide to learn about some of Jamaica's plants, trees, and herbs. Awesome. Thank you so much, Fitz, for taking me on this peaceful tour of the gardens and for allowing me to become one with nature. I told you wouldn't regret this tour. If you are a nature lover like I am, then the Rocklands Bird Sanctuary is a must-see. But a case can also be made for the Creek Dome Monument and the Belfield Great House. In fact, we barely scratched the surface. St. James has so much more to offer. So what are you waiting for? Get out there and explore all this wonderful parish has to offer.
Informing.
Jamaica today confirmed its first imported case of coronavirus.
Educating.
If you follow the recommended procedures, it is highly likely that you will not get the disease.
going beyond to keep you informed and connected.
Welcome to Get the Fact.
Even through the pandemic. Helping you stay safe while we protect ourselves. Dependable. Impactful. Accurate.
This is your JIS News.
Credible. Trustworthy. Every day, everywhere. Serving our customers proudly.
We have another summer idea that you will truly enjoy. Why not visit Port Royal? Not only is it one of Jamaica's most historic cities, but it's also home to the famous treasures such as the Giddy House and Fort Charles. Here's more.
A sun-kissed land with the golden beams nuzzling your skin. Boundless beauty from its rural to urban streets, and above all, a land with a tropical climate. It's warm weather all year round in Jamaica, but it can move from the extreme cold up high to the really hot down low. This is Jamaica, and this is a hot summer in Jamaica. June 22, 2019 saw the extreme maximum temperature being broken in Kingston, 39.1 degrees Celsius. Well, many will probably tell you that it's one of the hottest parishes in the island, and Port Royal in the parish could provide you with an even hotter but rich summer experience. Let's say this summer you want to pursue a little more than just sand and sea, and want a taste of the island's rich culture demonstrated through history. Then Port Royal offers a unique experience of Jamaica's yesterdays.
300 years ago, when we knew Port Royal, the city began its history as an island not connected to Jamaica. For 33 years after 1655, Port Royal was known as the richest and most sinful or wickedest cities in the Western world due to the piracy and extensive trading activities that took place here at that time. The typical temperature at Port Royal presently is very hot because it's in the summertime. However, despite the weather conditions, we have a lot of visitors coming here for swimming, fishing and recreational activities.
On this historical summer walk, a distinctive structure cementing our history here at Port Royal that you'd be intrigued to learn about is this tilted building known famously as the Giddy House.
The structure, formerly known today as the Giddy House, was actually constructed in 1888 and called the Royal Artillery Store. Its specific purpose was to supply battery complexes with ammunition. That structure got its name Giddy House during the second earthquake happening January 14, 1907. That earthquake caused the structure to sink 10 feet into the sand and the top half tilted 15 degrees. So because of that sensation persons get when they enter, we call it the Giddy House.
So it's likely that you'll feel this strange giddy feeling on entering the building, but it's all a part of the unforgettable experience.
Apart from you finding the Giddy House structure here in Port Royal, you can also locate the old naval hospital structure. The original structure was constructed in 1812. It got destroyed by a fire in 1815. The structure that we have here today was restored in 1818. That structure is the first prefabricated cast iron structure in the Western world. So it's built on floating rafts. Those structures are buried some 14 feet deep into the earth's surface, so that structure was built to actually withstand earthquakes and slightly sway or swivel with hurricanes.
And an old British defense settlement wouldn't be completed without a fort.
Another element you can find here inside the town of Port Royal is the fortification called Fort Charles. That fortification was constructed in 1656, built by the British to protect the city of Port Royal and to also prevent enemy ships from entering the harbour.
History still lives on through some of the most unique pieces stored in 2 museums here at Port Royal, even ones from beneath the waves.
The museums that we have here in Port Royal, 2 of them to be exact, those 2 museums contain old man-made exhibits called artifacts. All of them are authentic. Most of them are over 280 years old. They were retrieved from the Sunken city of Port Royal. The Sunken city is approximately 35 acres of land, which sank during the first earthquake happening June 7, 1692. So inside our museums, you can locate items such as utensils over 300 years old, weapons used by British soldiers in combat. We also found a watch in pieces, French made to be exact, which stopped at 1143. That's the approximate time period of the first earthquake, June 7, 1692.
A sea might have sunk piece of an island, but we all enjoy how that sea's cyclical rhythms set the pace for island life and sultry summer excitement.
Apart from to come to Port Royal to tour the fort and to learn about the town's fascinating history, due to the town's strategic location, it is known famously across the world for fishing activities, recreational activities, and meaningfully, there are 2 quays off the coast of Port Royal, one of them most famously being called Lime Quay, the other Maiden Quay. You can get a 20-minute boat trip by taking a sea taxi or a small canoe from the fishing village.
Antiques 3 centuries ago labeled the city as sinful, but history's delicate hands in weaving Jamaica's culture has created a safe haven in Port Royal.
Presently, Port Royal is considered as one of the safest areas in Jamaica. It's known approximately for outside 75 years to have a 0.5% crime rate, with a population not exceeding 1,300 inhabitants, including myself.
So you see, summers in Jamaica can be wherever or however you choose.
Did you know that there is an organization right here in Jamaica that teaches children and young people basic skills in coding and robotics? The STEAM House Network has numerous initiatives that meet the unique needs of its participants. One of the initiatives is the STEAM Maker Summer Program. Learn more next.
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, a supportive trunk of our island's national standards curriculum, which is strong enough to propel the growth of branches, fueling a better Jamaica. And as if that wasn't enough, our government's creativity expanded to mold the direction of STEM to create STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Right now, I'm about to meet head STEAM maker at the STEAM House, Godiva Golding, to learn about how her initiative is helping government prepare young minds for life beyond the classroom and beyond the curriculum.
STEAM House is a learning hub for science, technology, engineering, art, and math, more commonly known as STEAM. We teach integrated approaches to robotics and coding that allow students to actually solve real-world problems. So we do this through, again, coding and robotics education, and taking them through the process of exploring, imagining, and then making. At the end of STEAM House programs, you will always end up with some sort of end product, whether that be a game, be a prototype, or some web app that you can share with your family and friends. And we center all of this around project-based learning, because project-based learning is what is going to help students to build their problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, and also help them to channel their creativity.
So I know you might be wondering, why was STEAM House created, and what is the target audience? Here's the answer.
So STEAM House was created with the vision of preparing students for this digital world that is increasingly about artificial intelligence, about technologies, about data, is about computers. And how I first got my start is being introduced as an electronics major at the University of the West Indies. And so, having gone through that experience, learning for the first time about coding and all these fine things at 21, 18 years old, thereabout, I thought it would be really good if we could have students as early as 7 actually learn some of these skills now. Because if they learn it at 7, by the time they get to 18 and 21, they're better able to actually actively participate in this world that is increasingly about AI and self-driving cars and all the fun things that we're going to be able to do with the internet.
You have heard about coding because you're right here with us today.
who would like to raise their hand and tell me what coding is or what they think coding is? So there are a number of ways that we engage students in our programming. One way is our Block to Basics flagship course, which is a 2-month introduction to coding for children. The second way is through our summer camps, as well as ongoing STEAM camps that students can opt into, as well as our STEAM Maker Club. And the final thing, for especially foundations and organizations who are looking to build the skill set in their community, we have our Tinker workshops. So this is actually one of those workshops that students will be able to come in, have a hands-on experience with electronics, with coding, and build something that solves a problem in their community.
As you heard earlier, STEAM Maker has many programs that cater to the unique needs of its participants. Right now, we're witnessing firsthand the STEAM Maker Hour, done in collaboration with the Jamaica Library Service.
So this initiative, which is done with the St. Catherine Parish Library Network, is one hour per week coding course that students can actually take, and this is free of charge. But we do have paid programs that students can opt into that go and teach them the basics of not just coding and robotics, but also helps them to go really deep in building their problem-solving skills, because we take them through an entire process of starting out with an idea and having that idea turn into reality. We have had students who come through our programs who have built games to cheer you up during COVID. They've been games that help students to learn math. They've built games that, fire rocket ships. They've built remade Mario games. They've built things like motion-activated hand sanitizers, sort of like the ones that we see now in the supermarkets when we go in.
We're really very excited about this initiative at the library. Coding fuels the digital age, and it also encourages critical thinking. And that is one of the main aims that we have here at the library, along with the other programs and services that we have that include online learning and also online research.
I like this program because it's very educational and very fun to do, and it helps a lot. I've learned about coding. I've done coding with animations and cartoons. It's very fun to do, and it shows you movements, and you can also project it in robots and other things like that.
As you can see, this intricate and purposeful entanglement of the sciences and arts is helping to create more multifunctioning and creative minds. STEAM is no longer just vapor from heated water. It's science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, a requisite tool in today's highly technological and multifunctioning world.
Every Jamaican child in this day and age deserves access to these skills, access to sort of platform, the tools, the resources, and the tutors who will help to facilitate their journey through coding, through robotics, through this vehicle of problem solving and critical thinking skills. So parents who are interested in our programs can always visit our website at steamhouse.io, or they can visit us on Instagram, and we are steamhouse.io. With this, we start as early as 7 and we go as far as grade 9, and even beyond that for students who are interested in robotics coaching for respective robotics competition that have especially popped up in Jamaica over the past 2 years.
So, if you're looking for an activity that teaches your child the soft and technical skills they need to be creators in the 21st century, why not try coding? Trust me, the possibilities are endless.
As we wrap up today's magazine, we can't help but thank you for tuning into our show. To watch today's program again, simply visit our YouTube channel or website, jis.gov.jm. Don't forget that you're able to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Audrey, wishing you a great weekend and a memorable summer holiday.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.